Chris Bilton second place, silversmithing jewellery. Chris Bilton first prize, fine jewellery. Jewellery advanced craft, Chris Bilton distinction. Chris Bilton represented the UK in the World Skill Olympics. Oh hi, didn't see you there. Just going through my extremely large pile of diamond mounting accolades. But seriously though, if you are looking for a job in the jewellery trade, having a big pile of certificates is nice, it's a nice thing. But it only represents you in the past. It's more important what you can do at the present moment. So I would recommend you, coming from you offer to work for a day, 2 days, maybe even a whole week, just for free. And then you can prove to your potential employer like your skill level, like the way you handle tools, your speed, your accuracy. If you're the kind of jeweler that maybe you finished a nice ring and took a photo of it, and maybe you edited the photo to like cut out little scratches or whatever. If you're a bit of a liar like that, it's going to become apparent when they see you working and you're making little mistakes, putting little saw nicks in it and then having to fill it up with solder. You're kind of bodging your way along, and that's not a good way to make jewellery. It's a slow way to make jewellery as well, and you end up with a kind of bodged up, repaired thing that's got to be sold as new. It's not good. So the guys that employed me, that was back in 2006, and I'd already had over 10 years experience. I was literally showing them these very certificates, and like I'm saying, it's nice, but didn't mean a lot to them. And also the way I made jewellery was different to how they wanted things to be done. So I literally just had to throw away everything I knew and just start again and just do things the way they told me. So I mean everything, like even the way I held my torch when I was annealing, they were telling me I was doing it wrong. Like it was very simple, just I had it on my block and I was holding the torch this way, so the flame was blowing across. But they said, if there's a little bit of wire with a bit of length to it, just hold it that way and then the flame is going along the piece, and then you're not wasting so much heat and all the heat goes across it, you anneal it quicker. Just little tips like that. I'm just like, why don't I know this? And just because I was never taught. There's another thing, I recommend learning from lots of different people, because they'll give you little tips like that, and then you can take what works for you, and then you become a better jeweler much quicker. But yeah, I'm blessed because those guys, that was back in 2006, I started there, they were a couple of model makers for Bond Street stores. Model makers in the jewellery trade were kind of like the top guys, skill level. Like they made the masters that were going to be cast, like mass-produced cast. So they were also any kind of special commissions from the top Bond Street. I won't name them because I don't know if I'm allowed to on my video. But yeah, literally the top Bond Street stores, jewelers, they any like special commissions, like they were the guys that made it. So these are like 100, 200, 300 gram pieces. They were the people that did it. So I'm blessed to be in a position where they were teaching me now, because they left where they were and they set up their own jewelry shop. So everything was handmade, and it was like a really beautiful job for me, because it's exactly what I wanted. I moved to London and then got that job, hand making things, being taught to a much higher level. So really perfect. Like, hence I stayed there like just over 12 years. So I really made the most of it. Knowing that the way I make things now has come from the history of English jewellery making at the highest level, I get more of a kick out of that than any of these certificates. These mean very little to me. They're just kind of nice things to have framed and put on the wall or whatever you want to do with them. I just leave them in a folder, like in the back room. The people who taught me were like the top of their game back in the like 70s and 80s. So, and they were taught by people who they say were better than them, which makes you wonder, like, where's skill going? Like, just an example of like where learning jewellery is a bit different nowadays. You know this little collet I made in that video? I did that instructional guide, that little 4-claw wire collet. That, imagine you had to make that, probably smaller. Imagine you were shown how to make one, and then they were like, okay, we need a line bracelet, like 7.5 inches long, made of these, all linked together, it's all got to hang straight. What a nightmare to do. Like, you've got to do like 30 of those, just all got to sit perfectly, exactly the same, all sitting in a line, all linked together, nice line bracelet. Then you've got to do the snap, and it's all got to be a really beautiful, amazingly made piece of jewellery. Like, how good at those would you be after making 30 in a row? Like, just continuously, you're not doing anything else, just these little wire collets. Like, there's a big difference between someone who works like that and people like me who just do one and then get things cast and then clean up those castings. So that's why I think nowadays there's a kind of a general assumption that making jewelry is a bit of a lost art. Like, people don't work like they used to, like mass-produced castings. Now we've got like 3D printing, like CAD design, laser welding. I know how hard it is to make jewelry. Like, I'm a little bit offended when people tell me like designing jewelry on a computer takes a lot of skill. You've got to like understand, not just using the software, but you've got to understand how jewelry is put together. It's like, you haven't put the hours in at the bench. You're like bleeding literally from your fingertips. It's not the same thing. And then I'm a bit snobby about my skills because I learned them the hard way. But then people like 20 years older than me would be like, you got no idea what it was like being an apprentice in 1960. Okay, so I'm waffling on a little bit. But anyway, the moral of the story is your certificates don't mean that much. You may be very proud of them. We live in a world where like academic achievements are like the holy grail, but they don't mean a lot in a skill where it's all just hands. So you can either do it or you can't. So I recommend having attitude is the most important thing. Like, just be helpful to yourself. So offer to learn things the way they want to teach. So it's beneficial for them. They'll be more comfortable. You can do things. And if you're not that good, or you're making mistakes, they will much likely be more forgiving because you've already proved that you want to learn and want to do things their way. And that's what I did, and it was the best thing for me. I got a job when other people, I think they looked for, I might be wrong, but I swear they said they looked for someone for 18 months, couldn't find anyone. They had a problem with a lot of jewellers who were older than them, because they weren't that much older than me, like 10 years or something. But any jewellers that were older than them were very big-headed, like, oh, listen, mate, I've got like 35 years experience and all that. And so they know it wasn't going to work out, because that older guy was just big-headed about what he could do. Even though he wasn't as good as them, he was just an old dog who can't be taught new tricks. Like, he's just too big-headed about what he could do, and he wouldn't have budged. But I was like, I had all these certificates and I had over 10 years experience, but it's like I was looking for a new job because I wanted to up my game. I knew I was capable of more, and I was looking for somewhere to be in a position where I was going to be taught to a higher level. And yeah, fortunately I got it, and it was my attitude. It was that attitude that got me the job when other people couldn't get it. And I have since learned, because I left quite a while ago now, I have since learned the guy who replaced me has gone already. Like, he couldn't handle being told what he'd done wasn't good, and being told to make it again, which I had to, and it is annoying. It's quite upsetting. Or sometimes you make something and you think, oh, that was just like the best I can do, and they tell you to like, oh, can you just flood a bit more solder on that? And it's just so risky, because you know how everything just went together just really nicely, but there's just a tiny little bit, and it's deep inside a collet, very difficult to get to. And after it's set, it's not going to be like visible, or it's not really a problem for the strength, but just they wanted it. They're teaching you to make jewelry at a higher level than what you're comfortable to, so you have to listen to people who are better than you and do things their way. So don't be a small man syndrome guy. Don't be a big head. Just listen to your teachers. Respect your elders. So that's it. Okay, let's just end it there. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, all that, and see you next time. Next time we are making a ring that I've seen on Pinterest. So it's going to be about taking a ring which you've seen online out of a magazine or something, and then we're converting that into a real thing. So that's going to be a good one. Another like full instructional.